See, now this is why when I want to get back into, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, when I want to start playing the card game, this is why I want to use Raid Raptors, because I fucking love Raid Raptors. Like, they're such... Honestly, they are the best fucking cards. Like, this is the best, like, theme deck out of all of them. In, like, I mean, I really like Yu-Gi's deck. I think that's a really badass, like, deck. I actually, like, kind of... This is the one series, like, where I've actually ended up liking pretty much everyone's decks. The Owl, like, the only ones I really gave a fuck about is, like, Kaito's deck. And, you know, I still prefer, like, the original, like, Ziao's, like, what we got of the Kaito's deck from, like, this one, since we haven't seen much of it. But, like, just the amount of shit that you can do with this card, like, and, like, just all the Raid Raptors, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I love the whole Xyz change coming out, being destroyed, bringing out, like, I love that shit. Like, I honestly think it's really badass, and especially when we get to see Raid Raptor's Ultimate Falcon, which, my god, we gotta talk about that. Final Glorious Bright, that is such a badass name for an attack. That is what I want to see. Like, this is what I want to see for attacking names. You like, when you got like a badass card, you should have Ultimate Destruction of the Thanat. Let's just do the most dumbest names so they try to sound cool, but then they're actually dumb and cool at the same time, because maybe it's because I both like the decks, and I was actually just like how badass like this was kind of coming off, where like Kurosaki's like, you know, like he's accepting, saying like I'm accepting to my old ways, you know, I'm still kind of a bit of a dick, but even still I've understood like what is needed to be with my comrades. And like the first part of the duel, like he summons out like one of his Raid Raptors, and then uses the specialty of another one, which I think was like level 6 or something. It's like, oh, I bring this out, but it can come out as 2 materials, and it comes out at the same level as the other Raid Raptors, coming out, bringing out the Raid Raptors XE out there, and like Kaito's like, are you an idiot? Like, Rise Falcon can like only like use this effect when it has special summoned monsters on the field, and it has 100 attack. Uses a continuous spell. It's like, no, as like when they're being attacked or anything, like their like attack and defense switches, so it's like, no, it'll always have 2,000 attack points for the first attack. And then he's like, nah, 2 face down. It's like, fuck you. And I've got to say, immediately, like, Kaito just bringing out monsters, just like, oh, here's a Cypher Wing, here's, like, this other monster, which was, like, a level, like, it was a level 8, and it was special effect is, like, it can only be, like, special summoned by, like, having someone summon from, like, the extra deck, and that is special summoned in the same turn. It was like, oh, yeah, I just bring this fucking thing out, and Jesus Christ, it's just like, oh, by the way, Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon immediately out. I'm like, oh, no. Oh no, here we go, he's gonna take over like Kurosaki's monster. He's like, no, trap cut, fuck you. Like, I was like, oh thank god. And he's like, no, I'm gonna attack it then, fuck you. And he was like, oh, quick action magic, save that bad boy, whoo, just get out. Like, sadly got out of that like woodwork, and I was like, that was concerning. And I kind of like that, like, Kaito addressed the whole thing of action cards. He's like, really, you're gonna be using action cards to fight me? Well, like, that's some pussy shit. I ain't gonna lie, I don't like action cards for the most part, because I feel like they're just exactly, oh, they're just fucking there. It's like the same thing with like 5Ds pretty much had it as well, when you had like the speed counters. Like, they felt like they were just there to like kind of like help the duel a little bit over, while like GX, and just from what we saw as well with the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like, no, we had other cards to help, like, you know, sort that out. And it feels like a way to get a little lazy with some cards. Like, oh no, I had this card, how to like get out of there. And it's like, no, when you just got Kurosaki trying to blast everything with, like, you know, like all these quill force everywhere, and you know, the two were going back to back. Like, from what I had, like Kaito has a really good card to like stop this effect, where it's like it negates the effects of like I think it was called Scyther Bit, and it gives you an extra overlay unit. I was like, that's a really, really good card to use. I thought that was really awesome to have. I was like, damn, like, they're able to pull off these kind of tricks from side to side each other, and I felt like they were fighting as equals throughout the entirety of the duel. And then when he gets to destroy, like, the monster, I believe, like, with one of the Cypher Dragons, it's like, oh, no, and all that, like, how about that? It's like, you know, that has overlays when it's destroyed. I bring back the monster, and I get to bring out the other Cypher. I'm like, oh my god. I fucking love his deck. It's just like, oh, you want to destroy Cyber Dragons? No, it's like the Hydra effect. You destroy 1 or 2, then there's like 2 or 3 more come out, and I'm like, this fucking dragon, this fucking deck is just centered around being an entire dick move, like, throughout this entire deck, and I love it. And it's like Kurosaki had a fucking issue dealing with this, because he was like, brought out to like only 1,000 life points, and he's like, no, I'm gonna use all my friendship action magic card. And it's like, I'll have the 600 attack point action card, and then I have a 1,000 attack point card. And he's like, yeah, I can do this. The third one, oh shit, it isn't another attack point one. It was like a different card altogether that could be used on your like opponent's turn. And it was like, oh, never mind though, because I had this quick play that I drawed anyway, which was like double death or whatever it was called, where it was like, it raises the rank from like, what, like 2 levels, not just 1. So he gets a rank 7 Raid Raptor's Ultimate Falcon, which I've already talked about. It was the same one that we had, like, going against, like, Kurosaki's Duel, like, the previous time, which, you know, I do like that card a lot. I think it's really badass, like, always bringing it out. It's like, like, it's, I love it that it's, like, that's its, like, ultimate monster. I want him to upgrade it, like, one more time, where it's like, no, fuck you, here's the best one out of them all. It's like, but I do believe though, like, he did say ranking out twice, so it should be a, like, rank 7 monster. If not, I'm completely wrong, it's either a 7 or 8 rank, but honestly, I love it, like, from what we've seen of that monster so far, it's absolutely badass. But then, fucking Kaito had to ruin the moment after attacking one, reducing their, like attack points by, like, 1,000, and, like, each, and then it was like, no, I'm gonna, you know, like, bring back what with a trap card, and then activate the other card, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna double both their attack points, and just, like, this other card that, like, sent him back using one of them, and I was like, oh, no, and, like, as soon as we find out, it's like, he's now about to make, like, the whole shit, like, disappear. It's like, no, I'm gonna make all these monsters disappear, like, oh, like, after this brilliant play, like, decreasing them, and it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, boom, and just defeat Kaito, and I was like, oh, I hate that, I really wish it was. It's a shame, because, like, Kaito's, like, last duel that we had, because Kurosaki's last duel that we had, he didn't win it, so I was a little bit upset with that. I was like, oh, no, like, I don't want Kurosaki just to be taking L's on his chest. I want him to have another win. Mind you, he's gone against 2 extremely strong opponents, Crow and him, so I was like, oh, that's a fucking shame that you had to deal with this shit, but it was like, even though it was a good duel, although we do find a little bit about Sayaki, which I haven't really particularly cared about this character since we've seen her, like, in the start of the series. Find out that she was saying, oh, it's mainly her fault that, like, you know, from what we got, Rudy got captured because she was a coward, she, like, hid, and she didn't help, like, going against, like, when he was going against Yuri, and I'm like, oh, dear God, that's the worst time to, like, be doing that shit. But overall, really, like, really good duel, really enjoyed this episode. Looking forward to finding out about what happened, all the, like the months ago and all that, since we're going to get, like, a little bit of the plot dump about the Arc Area project next week, so I'm looking forward to that. And I think there's a new translator involved and all that. Like, people, like, were saying that there's a new, like, translator doing the episodes and that they're going to be faster episodes now. So that's awesome. That's awesome if we are getting a new one, and that's what's happening. So overall, I love the episode. Definitely give it a solid 8. I think the duel was good. Well, I think, like, Kaito is starting to learn to be a little bit nice because he spared Kurosaki, didn't turn him into a card. I mean, that was mainly because of Sayaki, but well, maybe we might see a little bit more of him. But it's nice that we're kind of going back from, like, Yuzu to, like, going back to, like, you know, like, Yuya's group. I'm kind of like, that's happening. That was a little bit like how it was in the Synchro Dimension, but it was heavily pointing a lot more towards that. So I'm glad that's happening, but still awesome. And just overall, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, what you thought about this episode. But that's all from me. Thank you much for watching. If you like 5 as much as I do, then you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, all that beautiful shit. I'll see you guys next time.